a big game for Pep Guardiola, and we're having those conversations again. This is Pep on his legacy. I've been here many times. My legacy is exceptional already. I've told the players to enjoy the moment. We are incredibly lucky to be here. Mike, if this all goes wrong yet again in a semi-final, does it harm his legacy at all?
Yes, because he was brought into Manchester City to bring the one trophy that they're after. In the Premier League, I mean, iconic. What he's done, they're going for their 5th in 6 years, 3 in a row. In terms of that legacy right there, no, doesn't touch it. I mean, he's an icon. Like I said, Premier League legend is us Americans love to focus on.
Can we all tell that Mike Lahoud is terrified of the prospect of Manchester City matching Manchester United's treble appearance?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I do not want that as a United fan. But in the UEFA Champions League, if he does not deliver with the team that he has, that'll be seen as a failure. Everything else that happens this season is amazing, but if you do not win the Champions League and you're Pep Guardiola, not too sure about that.
I mean, I don't think there's any shame in going out to this Real Madrid side, given that they're just able to conjure up this greatness at any given moment. But equally, if Guardiola and City fail once again, that's 2 massive opportunities lost with this brilliant squad that we've already seen pretty much get to the Champions League final and then lose to Chelsea. And it does feel sort of like those opportunities are slipping away for Guardiola. So I don't think that he can afford to overthink this, but quite clearly, sort of based from some of his answers that came from that press conference, it does get him a bit riled up that these questions keep coming about whether he overthinks things at this stage of the tournament. So clearly, despite all of his rejections of those claims, it does have some sort of semblance of truth to it, because he continues to rise to the bait.
For me, it doesn't affect his legacy because he'll still be looked upon as one of the greatest managers to manage in the modern game of football. He transformed football in the sense of introducing tiki-taki to Barcelona, which originally he was educated from watching Mexican football, from bringing out the goalkeepers to play out the back, which originated from Mexican style of football. He took it to Europe, took it to another level. Great. But the reality of it is you cannot say that Pep Guardiola is the greatest manager of all time if he doesn't win it. That's my opinion. He's been at top clubs. He's been given all the resources. They do it at Bayern Munich with a very good team and all the resources to be successful there. Been at Manchester City long enough now where people questioned it, and I'm sure the 3 of you thought that Man City would win the Champions League last year and the year before. Haven't done it. And again, this year, you guys probably still think they're going to do it with Erling Haaland, and I just don't see it. So I think that his legacy definitely is not harmed because of how he's transformed the beautiful game for us to enjoy. But I just don't think anyone can argue to say, oh, he's the greatest manager of all time. When you look at Carlo Ancelotti winning how many Champions League with how many different clubs?
You just put this in the chat, JJ. Don't think you can get away with not having to answer it in person. JJ, you asked the question. You can answer it too. Is Carlo Ancelotti the best manager of all time? And would he be if he wins yet another Champions League?
Well, I'll let the guys jump in on it as well. But for my money, Ancelotti is definitely up there as one of the best managers in Champions League history. You look at what he's achieved over a number of different clubs. And we've seen as well, Zinedine Zidane has been able to benefit from this fantastic generation of talent that Real Madrid have managed to get so much out of already. But I don't think that we can just sort of chalk up Ancelotti's achievements in the Champions League to having this fantastic Real team. I think, he's shown it in a number of different scenarios and situations over the years, that have changed with different styles of football as well. So for my money, Ancelotti has to be up there with one of the best. And if he does, lead Real to another Champions League title, it's difficult to argue that he's, not at least one of the most elite.
JJ, he's the best. Stop beating around the bush.
Thank you,
JJ, if he wins it again, he is the greatest manager in the history of the Champions League. There's no denying it. He's won it. There's one thing winning the Champions League with one club. I believe he's won it with 3 different clubs or 4? Just need to make sure I know Des, our producer, would know. But I'm sure
Milan and Madrid.
Okay, 2 clubs. But he's won how many Champions League trophies? 4?
At least, probably more. So he won 1,
2 with Milan, 2 with Madrid.
4. No other manager's done that.
Yeah.
not
So,
a manager. The only closest one next to him, whether people like it or not as well, is the great Jose Mourinho. Now, Jose Mourinho's achievements in the Champions League is fantastic at the different clubs that he's done it at. Porto, Inter Milan, and Real Madrid. And that is an achievement to do it in different domestic leagues as well. So I just think that that's my argument to say that Ancelotti is probably the greatest.
Greatest manager of all time couldn't win a trophy with Everton. That sounds about right.
Oh, behave. Everton were the best we've seen Everton under him as well. Let's be real. Like, that was a miracle job he did at Everton until he had to leave. But they were the best we've seen Everton play for a long time. I bet you Everton fans will take him now.
I just want to
reflect on that, and I want your prediction as well.
I just want to be very quick on this. If he gets that coveted 5th Champions League trophy, Zinedine Zidane is in great company alongside of him. They're the 1-2 punch as exclusive company in this competition. You have to look at him as the best manager, the greatest Champions League manager of all time, hands down. Look at what he's done. He delivered La Decima. Before Zidane did his thing, he delivered the coveted La Decima. For Milan, how many years did they wait till they got their hands on the Champions League trophy? He is the player whisperer. When you are in a pickle, when you want to go and deliver history on your side, you call up Carlo Ancelotti. He gets it done. And he's a man that will be chasing history against Man City and Inter Milan if they get past City this season.
James, just to add to that, Brazil as a nation are desperately trying to get Carlos Ancelotti. Do you know how much of a big compliment that is? Like,
I agree.
The gods of football, where they never hire outside of their own nationality, the one manager they're going for outside their nationality is Carlos Ancelotti. That tells you about how much of a talented manager he is. And I know people are going to have something to say about that, but that is one of the biggest compliments you can get, to be the first foreign manager of Brazil.
Let's quickly look at the comments, and we need to rattle through because we've got a lot to talk about. But quickly look at the comments. I like this from Steve Biambi. Guardiola needs to go coach West Ham or Aston Villa. That's a real challenge. I don't know if it is a real challenge, is it? Certainly, Unai Emery's not making Aston Villa look like a challenge at all. I like that from Steve. Right, quickly before we go to the break, and we should say, certainly by one measure, Carlo is the greatest of all time. He has 9 UEFA trophies. No one else has more than 7. That's if you count Super Cups. I don't know if you should count Super Cups. Quickly, I'll start with myself. Prediction for tomorrow night. I am going to go for 2-0 Manchester City. Erling Haaland scores both, and that wins him the Ballon d'Or. Mike?
What?
I am going 2-2 in normal time, and then Madrid wins in extra time. Vinny Jr., Rodrigo, and Big Benz. He does when he wants. He plays when he wants. He scores when he wants to win it.
Nige?
3-1 Real Madrid. 3-1 Real Madrid. Watch them get the job done.
JJ?
1-1 after 90 minutes, 2-1 City after extra time.
Right, that's a pretty good spread there. At least someone's going to look a fool tomorrow night.